This week, we're back in LA with a native Angelino, Hollywood legend, and current podcast host and dad of 5, Brian Austin Green.
MLB opening day is upon us tomorrow, DK, and this episode of One Star Recruits is brought to you, as always, by 500level.com. If you want a Shohei Ohtani t-shirt, go to 500level.com. They got all the Shohei shirts you could ever imagine, DK. Brian Austin Green, native Angelino, big Dodger fan. If you want to gamble on a mystery shirt, see what I did there? Gamble. If you want to gamble on a mystery shirt, $12 on 500level.com. 20% off everything on the site with the discount code podcast at checkout. Let's go.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Austin Green, and I'm on One Star right now. One Star Recruits. Let's do this.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the One Star Recruits podcast. Rip, can we change the music? Can you give me just a little bit of the music that everybody wants? Give the people what they want. We got 5 seconds before YouTube demonetizes us.
Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na.
90210, interesting thought here. 90210, I'll say Full House. I'll put Full House in that mix. And I'm going to put the NBA on NBC theme song into these three of, they just have mastered the intro music with kind of a heavy riff, heavy guitar riff, and then a soft riff with a little melody and a little flow. The NBA song had it too. Full House had it. It hit you like, oh shit, it's on. And then you flow with it a little bit while you're eating your fruit by the foot, or whatever, getting ready for the show to start. But dude, would you agree? Is that stupid or is that brilliant thinking right there of that time? 90210 Full House, NBA on NBC intro music. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. When we talk about songs that are timeless, like the Beatles songs and music that's timeless, you have to add those in that category. We don't even know if today's shows have intros because we skip all over them. But if you threw that 90210 intro music on a hit show today, I think it would really stick. People would love it. It spans generations and it's still good today.
People are feeling it. That's just the way to start a show. It's the way to start a podcast. It's the way to start a show that lasts, I don't know how many years, Rip, 25, captivated you and your family. 90210 never fully connected with me, in all honesty here. I think it was a time and a place for me. I remember when the show started to kind of gain popularity. I was maybe 10 or 11. I was pretty young. The turning point, though, the big turning point that hits my head was everybody tuning in at season 2 to see if Brenda was pregnant. And I know, Rip, you were hovered around your TV, your Casio or your Sony with your sister, about to eat a banquet Salisbury steak dinner and a full real Coca-Cola Classic, waiting to see if Brenda was pregnant or not. Am I wrong?
You're exactly right. I never missed an episode. I think 7 p.m. Wednesdays, Mountain Standard Time in Arizona for 10 years, basically, was part of my life. And I think it really helped my sister and I grow closer together because we would wait for that thing every week. And the cool thing about that show,
would she confirm that if we asked her that was a big bonding moment in your guys' life? You guys are close because of a television show. She would confirm.
I think she would confirm that because brothers and sisters don't always see eye to eye on everything, but that was one thing we definitely agreed on. We would sit down in front of the TV with dinner or whatever, and the cool thing about that show was that the writers were amazing because they kept storylines going. I think everybody dated everybody, and that's why the show lasted for so long.
It was if Dylan and Kelly were going to ever get together. That was just mainly the biggest thing. That was the top thing in the writer's room. That kicked off the writer's room thing. They just went from there. Got Rip at home, super excited. Stuffing his face with some, what do you got? Some Albertsons donuts, probably, watching that show. It never played on the weekend. Somehow, I remember reruns maybe being on the weekend. Normal show was a weekday thing. I think it was an evening, let's say 8 or 9 o'clock. Nevertheless, it was really one of the bigger shows of our teenage generation. People had Tool Time. People got those pop magazines. Used to cut them up and put pictures up in your room. The females, some of the guys. I probably had a Jonathan Taylor Thomas poster somewhere in my house. The guy was huge, Rip. 90210 was huge too. They had Brendan in my house somewhere. I know you did 100%. But it really captivated, bro. I appreciate that these humans who are in this show, like Brian, kind of are able to still talk about it. It was something in their life that they still love and still appreciate. It's not something they tucked away. But senior year really was the time that it became huge. Rip their senior year, it kind of seemed like it peaked maybe for 90210. Everybody was super excited. I don't remember, Rip. I don't know. Tell me.
Senior year was huge at West Bev, which actually was in West High in Torrance, California, I believe. I've driven by there a few times. But for me, Brian Austin Green, David Silver was honestly a really underrated character. He was the one I related to the most, I think, because he was a little nerdy. He was really into music. I was into hip hop like him. Side note, he even actually had a rap album in real life, underrated rap album. But he was
You two should have battled. You two should have done a rap battle
we
on
should have
on
done
the
a
show.
battle rap. I don't think anyone wants to hear two 40 and 50-year-olds battle rap, but yeah,
Nah, it would
like
have
I
been
said,
great contact though. I forgot he was also a rapper. Big miss.
yeah, really underrated character because kind of one of the quiet ones. He wasn't a feature character per se, like Brenda and Dylan and Brandon were, but he was always there. He was there the whole time. And yeah, honestly, one of the first episodes of the show was when one of his best friends committed suicide. They talked about some heavy topics on that show, but everyone remembers. I believe the kid's name was Scott, and that's when kind of David endeared himself to fans right there with the way he handled that as a teenager. Just a really good character that endures today, DK.
Does it hold up today? You gonna let your kids watch it? Your oldest is gonna be double digits here pretty soon. You gonna let him watch it, or even watch it with him? Is this a bonding moment for you to do with your son now?
I don't think so. I think that ship has sailed. They don't have a sister, so I don't think it would be the same. And also, it's they're more interested in playing Madden and Mario versus watching a teenage drama show like that.
You got to bond with dad. We had to sit around in the 80s and 90s and watch a bunch of bullshit with our parents. A bunch of PBS was being watched in my household. That's why I didn't get to watch 90210. I had to sneak in there. They should have came to me. You should have came down and done a show with me. Tempe 85283 would be the name of the show. Rip. It would have been a huge success. Here's the pitch for my show in a nutshell. Tempe 85283. Have me started in as a skateboarder, coming around, taking the bus to Mill Avenue. And I was a little bit of a mill rat, Rip. I was a mill rat, used to call us. Maybe get there with my skateboard, probably grab a Diet Coke. I was doing Diet Coke young. This was right before I got over to Coffee Plantation, which I would do at Ice Cafe Mocha, another Mill Avenue legendary place. Banana, skateboard, drum circle, the graffiti shop. Guess what? I'm going to hike up to the Hole in the Rock right there, Rip Papago Park, Hole in the Rock, see what's going on. Maybe do a cig up there with a coffee. Sneak into a Funk Junkies show or a Fred Green show at Club Rio or Minder Binders. What else do I have for my show? I already mentioned Ice Cafe Mochas, man. That would be 80% of the show would be Ice Cafe Mochas and me smoking cigs someplace with a skateboard in my hand. You can have an episode about maybe a day that I spend where I go to Fry's Electronics away from Mill Avenue. They have a McDonald's inside, and you can watch me think about buying a 5-disc CD changer to put in the trunk of my friend Rip's Saturn.
I'm gonna have to cut you off. Tempe doesn't have the same mystique as Beverly Hills did. It's not gonna attract people from all over
Dang
the
it.
country, DK. But that's why you're a one star. That show would probably be canceled after 2 or 3 episodes. Let's stick with our guy David Silver. It's amazing that he's 50 years old now, which makes me feel extremely old. As we're getting up there, obviously. But like you said, cool to talk to him after all these years, and he's been through a lot in the last 30 years. Has 5 kids. We talk about that. Amazing interview with Brian Austin Green. Check it out. Now joining the One Star Recruits podcast, we have a Los Angeles native, a Hollywood legend, host of the Oldish podcast, and a guy who probably woke up at 3 a.m. this morning to watch his Los Angeles Dodgers play in South Korea. Brian Austin Green is on with the One Star Recruits. Thanks for hopping on, Brian.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Why would you think? Come on, I'm not up at 3 a.m. watching baseball. There's no way. I have kids here. I have young kids here, so I'm getting all the sleep that I can.
You have a 1-year-old that might be up at 3 a.m. Who knows?
I do. Yeah. He's 20 months now. I always give people a hard time too when they count by months when kids are young. And cut to, I'm like, hey, he's 20 months. Yeah, I'm that asshole. So he's almost 2. We'll say that he's almost 2.
Nice. I say that I'm 40. I'm 41 now, but I say I'm 40 because I do the month thing now with just adult men years.
Are you still counting your age by months?
I tried that. It didn't work. So I'm just gonna stay in the 40. Yeah, I'm
It's heavy
742
math. It's a
months.
lot to do in your head. You're like, oh my God, how many months is that? 41 years of 12 months a year, you know?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Brian, I don't know. I'm going to take a long shot here. I don't think that you're an NCAA tournament guy, but are you by any chance? Can we catch you in
I'm
Vegas with your buddies? Do you do a bracket? Are you a tournament guy?
no, no, I'm honestly not much of a big NCAA fan. I'm NBA like when I have time to be. Like at this point in my life, I don't really have time for sports the way I used to. When I was younger, I was I was at every Laker game and I have season seats. And so I was really watching the entire season. I loved the sport. I had an NBA jams machine in my living room and
Sick.
and then, and then you have kids and it's like, okay, that goes away. And instead there's, there's a buffet table. Like
Oh yeah.
I need
Oh yeah.
places to put dishes,
It's
it's
a
all
folding
changed.
center. It's a closed folding station is what's that become? Dude, what's
You know
your
what's really
just
funny? I had a pool table and it became a storage space for like mail and jackets and stuff like that because you always say you want a pool table until you have one and then I rarely played like you play really hard for a few months and then all of a sudden it's like you're kind of done with the sport of it.
Oh yeah, pool tables are like snow. It's great for the first couple days and then it's just a pain in the ass.
Dude, they're totally like snow. That's such a great analogy.
Oh, it's the truest thing ever, bro. And I didn't know that you had Lakers season tickets. I know you don't go a lot now, but
Yeah.
thinking back to the day, just your memory bank, what's one of your better in live Lakers moments? You've had to be at a lot of them, or at least maybe remember one.
I was fortunate enough to have season seats through Kobe's entire career. So my
Wow.
seats started at the Forum and then they moved to the Staples Center when that was built, which is now crypto.com arena, which is I still call it the Staples Center. I can't get that out of my head. So I was around, I watched that entire run. I watched him when he was first drafted and came to the team and when they would put him in at the end of games and he would shoot crazy 3-pointers just because it was like, games, you might as well give it a shot. So like, I mean, and there were a lot of like game, the series with Portland was an amazing one to be there for and why. And there was just tons of stuff. And now I've been so lucky in like my career and these random jobs that I've done. I've become pretty close friends with Robert Ory, which is really cool for me because it's like, dude, you're big shot. Like there's that, I when I first met him, I was starstruck because it's like when you're sitting in the stands and you're watching these games and you're seeing these guys as tall as they are, 7 feet just under that, they're sports heroes for you. And then all of a sudden I'm like sitting in a room and I'm talking to him and we text each other and it's like there's still I have to check myself every once in a while and go, man, Robert Ory just
With
text
it,
me. Like he
with
invited
it,
me to his birthday party at his house and I couldn't go, but it's like there was a part of me going, I wonder who else is going to be there. I wonder if like Rick Fox is going to be there. Like I wonder if, Derek Fisher is going to be there. Like, you never know. You never know who's going to be at his house. So it's kind of a cool thing.
any Lakers ever tell you they grew up on 90210? Was that a thing? Or any Lakers watching 90210 as kids?
So Rick Fox has always been really nice. I've met him probably a dozen times. He used to work out with a trainer that I worked out with. So I'd see him at the gym there all the time at his house. Super nice guy. Derek Fisher was the one that surprised me the most because I always, when I meet people and I'm like awestruck by him at all, or I'm a fan, I always make that known. I always say to him, dude, big fan. I followed your career. I love what you do. So when anybody comes back at me with like, oh, I'm a big fan of you as well, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like I was, when I met, I grew up skateboarding. I'm from Los Angeles, the LA hat. You were talking about that before. And I met I'm now friends with Tony Hawk, which is insane. Like I used to skate on his boards when I was a kid, but I met Stevie Caballero, which I don't know if either of you guys are
Yeah.
skaters. And I met him early on in the years of 90210. It was probably like 93, 94. And I met him at an event and he walked up to me and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if my wife takes a picture with you? Like she's a big fan." And I looked at him and I was like, you're Stevie Cavallero, dude. I can't, as long as I can take a picture with you as well. Like that's a big, it's a big thing. So I always try and kind of throw the obvious stuff out there right away. So it's like fan. Okay, cool. So now let's talk as like normal people. So when I spent time with Robert Ory, it was like, okay, let me get into your head a little bit. Like you're in the last 5 seconds of a game. They're talking about the ball coming to you. You're playing in front of, 100,000 people or 50,000, whatever the stadium holds. Like, how is that experience? What, being a kid growing up an NBA fan, and then all of a sudden you're on a team and it's like the ball's coming to you for a possible game winning shot. So you get into those conversations and it's cool. Like when you kind of level the playing field for people that you're talking to, and instead of talking to them like a fan, you talk to them like a person, because we're all people that are involved in these crazy things and we get these amazing opportunities to do stuff and have the ball put in your hands at a point when it's like, dude, it could have gone to so many people, but it's going to you. That's huge. It's huge. So it was cool to pick his brain on that, to see like what that experience was like, and to hear from him that he truly appreciated that he wasn't just like, oh, I'm a 3-point shooter. Like of course they pass the ball to me. It's like, he still had that thing of like, man, time stands still at that moment when you get the ball and you're shooting it. And I would assume for anyone, whether they're coming in and it's like they have a chance of, in baseball, hitting a home run and all of a sudden clearing the bases and winning one for the team. There's got to be something so incredible about that. Having a stadium full of fans cheering for you to succeed. That moment has got to be incredibly huge to me.
It's got to be positive. How about this one, Brian Austin Green? Higher percentage of success. If I put Brian Austin Green out back right now, landing a heel flip or knocking down 3-3-pointers?
Probably knocking down 3-3-pointers.
Oh,
how about a kickflip?
Well, see, now there's a risk of like hurting myself because I'm almost 51.
As I said that, I'm thinking 40 years old.
I'm thinking like, if I fall, it's not as easy as it was when I was a kid. Like I stand a really good chance of hurting myself. And the thought of like having to go in and have like hip replacements and stuff like that, like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Oh my God.
Like, maybe because nothing would make me feel older than that type of a surgery.
But dude, nothing would make you feel better than landing a clean kickflip again.
It's
maybe
true.
You and Randy on your podcast maybe we could do a kickflip challenge eventually over time. Think about it.
All right. Okay.
Food for thought.
Well, dude, can we do it with fingerboards? Can we do it like, can we do it that way? Or do you want like a full body, like on
dude, I think you could do it again. Brian, I think if we get you in an Alien Workshop t-shirt, possibly get you on, that nice board that you used to have in 1996 again. I think.
I have a garage full of boards, dude. So the big thing now is, they did all of these like re-releases of the old ones, like with the crazy tails on them and the Christian Hossois and all the stuff. And I can't really skate on the new boards. So I've got a back stock of decks in my garage. I have tons.
In the garage? You got to bring it back. We'll get you the wrist guards. We'll get you. It's time to bring it back, man.
Dude. If I'm standing around with wrist guards and like headgear and the whole thing, that is just as terrible as falling
never know. You're in the podcast game at this point in time. Speaking of the Oldish podcast, let's talk about it. You've been putting it out, bro, for I think like 6 months now. You do it a couple times a week. You got your fiance. We got Randy Svelling, who I think's up in Portland, which seems like a crazy city for him to live in, but whatever. It's hilarious and honest and real. How did the pod come together? And dude, what is success for the podcast for you at this point in time? I mean, shit, you're Brian Austin Green.
Yeah, so it came together. I used to do on K-Rock, there was the show Love Lines. And when I was a kid, I lived in Burbank. And so Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew used to bring me up to the station all the time because they did that like kind of later in the night on, I think it was like either a Thursday or a Friday. It was some odd thing. And because I was close, it was like if nobody else was available, they would hit me up like, hey, Brian, can you make it by? And so I'd come by and I'd do that. And
that's where you got your chops, because you your whole squad on your new podcast, the
Yeah.
Oldish podcast. I mean, I don't know how to say this nicely. You guys are really good about talking about sex in a real way, a good way. And that
We
makes
try
sense. It goes back to your roots.
we try to, yeah, we try to be good about talking about everything. And if we're not, we try and have an expert on that is good that we can learn from. But being 50, I'm honestly in a space of like, I'm open to learn about anything. Like I don't claim to know everything. Like I'm fine in my head with the fact that I don't know nearly as much as I thought I did in my 20s, So I'm open to learning and experiencing all of it now. And we've had great guests on, and we have some really great guests lined up, and it's really becoming something cool where, the guests now are reaching out to us because
Yes.
they trust what it is we do. We don't sugarcoat our conversations. We ask difficult questions of people sometimes. Like we really try and get in the weeds of what it is a person has experienced in life and what it is that makes them tick now. Because I think it's important for people that listen on a show like ours. Our show it wasn't meant to be an entertainment first podcast. Like it's not, we're not about gossiping, and we have fun and we joke with each other because we all get along really well. But we're not afraid to get into the weeds a little bit and go, okay, let's talk about some serious stuff. Let's talk about your childhood. Let's talk about what brought you to here and what you've experienced. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it levels the playing field a little bit for people that are listening. They go, oh shit, that they've gone through the exact same things that I'm going through now. So, oh, I should listen to this because I might be able to get something out of
Dude,
this
you did it
conversation.
directly with me, probably unknowingly. This is not something where you probably went into it thinking, I'm going to talk and somebody else is going to relate. But dude, I'm on team stomach problems too. I'm 40. I,
Yeah,
I cannot eat frozen pizzas knowing that I'm not going to have a terrible day the next day. I know this
right.
about myself. Like
Yeah,
it's here, bro. I mean,
yeah.
those types of small things. What you've learned about digesting your body, you talk about it. I
Can
love
I
it.
can I give you one thing that's, I swear,
Yes.
been gold for me,
Yes.
and it will be for your gut? Armra makes a colostrum powder it's delicious. You add a scoop of it to like a glass of just water 3 times a day and you drink it. You'll love the taste of it, and it will literally like rebalance everything within your system. It's just great.
Armra.
It's colostrum. And, that's what when mothers are breastfeeding, that's the yellow portion of milk when babies are first born.
And it helps you get solid. It helps you
It helps with everything. It helps with hair growth. It helps with your skin. It helps with your digestive system, with all the cells in your body. I mean, it's why it's in breast milk to begin with. Like it just helps people develop these immune systems that work really well. And I swear it'll do wonders for you. I swear.
there's a small taste of the podcast. Beautiful, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rip, what were we taking for a little bit? The not the wheat germ. What was it? What were we taking?
Yeah, psyllium husk. It was kind of the same deal, but
Killing
it
us.
was 3 times a day. But it tastes terrible. So that was the bad part
Yeah.
about it.
See, so this Armra is they have one that's flavorless. And so it literally, when you put it in water, it doesn't taste like anything. But then they have one that's blood orange that I really like. And then they have one that is like an after workout kind of thing. It's sort of it helps the system recoup from all of that. And it's chocolate flavored. And that's actually really good also. But this blood orange one that I do is just an immune system booster. And you'll feel it in your gut. Like the first day that you do it, you'll feel like, God, did I eat like spicy food, or like feel like you can feel stuff working. And then that goes away, and all of a sudden you'll notice like uh bloat and
Mm,
internal inflammation and things like that starting to go down, and you'll notice that you're like losing weight, and you'll feel more alive when you're in the gym, and you'll get a pump a lot easier in life, and you'll lean out. Dude, it's done wonders for me. It's amazing.
genius.
Yeah.
That's why we asked. That's why podcasts exist. That's why yours is good, bro. The Oldish podcast.
Thank
Listeners
you.
gotta check that out. You have so much cool shit going on. I want to pass this to Rip here. I want to talk just for 1 second though, dude. The movie app, your new app,
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so
social media
cool.
platform.
It's
You get
so
to rate
cool.
movies and TV shows. Everybody's
Yeah.
always wanted to do that, but in a way that doesn't suck. It's
Yeah.
not like sucky. You just launched this year, dude. I just
Yeah.
watched Shogun on FX this week. I'm ready to rate it. dude.
Yeah, dude. So then go on, download it. It's free to create a profile, get your friends in on it. Our goal is, I mean, we're right now we're just finishing up the Android version of it. And it's a slow build. Like you can't do everything all at once. It's like we're slowly adding features, but our end game is we really want to make these profile pages that you can create as customizable as possible, much like Facebook used to be, where you'd go to somebody's Facebook page and it was like, oh, it was really cool. It was like their favorite colors and their pictures and their logos and their things on it. And social media has really moved away from that. So we want with Movie App, we want the same experience. I want to go to Seth Rogen's page and see these movie categories that he creates from scratch. Like, movies I watch when I'm stoned. Like I want to I want to know what those movies are. And I want to be able to go to his page and know right away, like, oh, I'm on Seth Rogen's page. Like you
Love
can
it.
just tell by the way it looks and the way it feels that you're there. And I want it to be something that is as customized as that. So it becomes fun going to your friends' pages. The people that you follow, this wizard that we have will automatically look at the movies that you seem to prefer, and then it'll give you suggestions, AI based of like what you should go check out. But it's great because when I'm here with the family and we decide we're going to watch a movie, it'll take us like 45 minutes to pick something to watch. It's watching previews, watching, making sure that everybody's on board for it. And then you watch it and it sucks. And you're like, oh my God, I spent 45 minutes scrolling through all this shit. And this movie sucks. I like if I could go to a friend's page whose opinion I completely trust, who's an avid movie and television lover, who has a very similar sense of humor to me, and I can pick something in 5 minutes based on that and watch it. And chances are it's really good. If he rated it really well and really likes it, and it's in his top 5 within that category, that's like priceless to me. That
Priceless,
saves so
dude.
much time.
My friend Chili in Arizona on the Trash Talk Boys podcast is going to love this. This is everything that he's ever wanted. He can fill his tiles with Star Trek and all the weird movies that he likes.
So we're doing cool things too. We're doing badges for people that watch all of something. So like if you've watched all of the Harry Potter films, or if you've watched all of the Lord of the Rings, like including the Hobbit movies, you get a badge. Like there's an AI generated test to make sure that you've actually watched them. And then you get a badge. So when people go to your page, they go, oh, this person's a Harry Potter lover. And they're also a Star Wars fan. So like you start noticing those things on people's, pages. They become these like cool little sort of trophies that you get if you're really into, or if you're really into baseball. And so you have a season pass and you literally through seasons, you watch all of the games and you're an avid sports fan that way. Then other fans that go can be like, oh, this dude's serious. Like he watches all of the stuff. He knows what he's talking about. And then you two can create these chat rooms and these conversations based on your common love of things. Dude, so it's cool. Like sky's the limit on this idea.
Sky's the limit. It makes me think of like 23andMe expanding and some of these things where you think, oh, basics, but it's about finding a common, finding people who fall in line with what you're doing in life and then taking that to the next level. I see ways to monetize this in cool ways of events with like-minded people in the future that you met via the app, so all kinds of stuff. Dude, even baseball, maybe you get rewarded. Maybe you get a free hot dog, a free Dodger dog. You get a Dodger dog when you go to Dodger.
Stadiums involved in it. Like, let's, we eventually want to branch out. So right now we're only movies and television, but we'd love to be sports where people can actually, there are links on the page to be able to click and find tickets, at local stadiums or places that you're going, to kind of help people find that.
Get invited to a tailgate possibly that otherwise you wouldn't be invited to, via that network. Dude, all kinds of cool shit. You're on it, bro. Movie people are going to love it. This is the evolution of Rotten Tomatoes for like-minded humans. Genius, bro.
I appreciate it.
I'm curious. I'm going to whenever One Star Recruits podcast comes out, I go to all the apps and I listen, to get the 3 downloads because I'm petty like that. You put 90210 up on your movie app board?
I don't, but I should. That's actually a really good suggestion. I should pay homage to that. I should pay homage to the shows that I've done that I really liked. Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Desperate Housewives, Anger Management, like, get those, Wedding Band, like all these cool, all the cool things. I'm gonna do that
Get
literally
it
as
up.
soon as we
Yeah, get
stop.
it up. I will get on and I will follow you the second I see your show's updated. That's what I want to
No,
see from your mind. Amazing shit though. Very cool ideas, man. Thank you.
thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, skew the ratings a little bit. It doesn't hurt. Brian, we end every interview with the segment we call 1 star to 5 star. Everybody knows we're the 1 stars. We got stomach problems, bald heads. We're
Yeah.
trying to get better with advice like the colostrum tip and all that stuff from guests like you. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna close it out. We just have a few questions to ask you. We're gonna
Cool.
use a 1 to 5 star scale with the answers here.
All right.
You have 5 sons. We've
Yeah.
talked about it. You have a 1 year old who's almost two, and then you have a 22-year-old. So they're a pretty big age
22
range
is
right
my
there.
oldest. Yeah.
So you've been a young dad 20 years ago. Now you're a 50-year-old dad. What's the 5 star parenting tip you've learned about raising boys from and just the difference between being a young dad and an old dad over the past 20 years?
Just to not forget that they're only going to be kids for so long. So the idea is you're raising them to be people within society. So you want to raise morally good people. I don't care what it is they do. I don't, what their passions are. I'm super excited always to learn and see. I just want them to be good people when they do it, whether they're designing clothing or they're acting or they're into sports I just want them to be good members of society when they do it. So I think that if the focus is on that for people instead of trying to create little versions of them, because that doesn't work. Like if I look at my parents now, I could not be more different from my parents. We have things in common. My dad and I are, we're both musicians. We have a passion for that. Like I'm into DIY and house stuff like my mom is, So it's like I've got these few little things, but I'm a completely different person. And I think people lose focus of that. But I think lucky for me having as many kids as I do, I've really seen that. Like I've raised them for the most part the same, but they could not be more different from each other.
I love that. Your guy, Derek Fisher, he's now coaching basketball in the Valley out there. We had him on a few months ago, and his quote to us was, keep the main thing. And that it's always good to go back to that kind of main thing right there.
Yeah.
We're living the same struggle, you and I, when it comes to having very little hair up top now, or versus to me going completely bald. It's always a thin line. So I've had the same haircut for 15 years. I
Have
cut
you?
my hair like every week with no guard, but it's always kind of been
Do you use like a single blade or do you use like an electric? Because they have
the
the
electric.
electrics now.
Yeah, I use the electric clippers. So I still have. I don't know if you can see. I still have a little bit up there,
Oh
and
yeah. Okay.
I know you're
You're like
rocking with
Jason
that too.
Statham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got that's
Yeah,
my
respect.
doppelganger right there.
Yeah. There you go.
But the dilemma
It's
for me
not
has
true,
always
Rip.
been
That's not true, by the way. People say your doppelganger is the cash cabs guy. Continue. Go ahead, though.
Oh, wait,
uh, uh,
what?
I'm gonna cut that part out.
No, way more Jason Statham than the Cash Cabs guy.
I also got Woody Harrelson a couple of times, but who knows? Okay, so but to me the problem has always been whether to keep that same routine or else go like Bick and just go completely bald. So I'm gonna ask you because you're a vet in this thin hair game too. On a scale of 1 to 5 stars, how likely are we to see you take that razor all the way down at some point and just go completely Michael Jordan bald up there?
Jeff
Not likely.
Bezos.
Honestly, like I embrace what I have and for acting especially like I like to change it up a little bit and do different things and so yeah, I don't have any plans of going to skin at any point soon, but I never say never.
Hey, I'm the same way though. I'm worried. I've never done it. I'm worried that I'm gonna have like crazy moles up there that I've never seen, or like so. I want to keep a little bit up there if I can.
Dude, I keep it as long as you can, like fight time, fight father
Exactly.
time as much as you can.
Exactly. Okay. We talked about it last one here. We talked about it a little bit before. You basically grew up on the set of 90210. I think you were from the ages of 17 to 27 on
17 to
that show.
27, yeah.
For me, it was a 5 star part of my childhood as well, watching every episode with my sister in Arizona. What's the 5 star memory and takeaway from that decade on the set with all the lifelong friends and relationships?
Honestly, I kind of found my voice and found myself during that time. There were a lot of obstacles for me personally just growing up on camera because there was a lot of judgment from outside people that came from it. But I always tell people, like, I've learned way more in life from my failures than my successes. So like all of the hard times and all the stuff that I went through and all the criticism and the judgment and the things created who I am now. And I could not be more comfortable in my own skin than I am right now. Like I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good father. I know I'm a good friend to people. I know that I listen really well. I know that I communicate well. I know that I'm compassionate. And all of that came from years of, struggling, like tripping and falling through it all. It all led me to this place now where I always talk about like the road less traveled. And I think people kind of hear that and they take that thought for granted. The road less traveled is truly less traveled because it's a harder road, but it leads to better things. So I always try and be like live as in the moment and consciously as possible with everything. And it's just the quality of life for me has grown exponentially since I've been doing that.
It's so clear, bro, through your podcast and what you're doing. It's
Thank you.
a whole human, man. It's great. What's a 5-star dance move? You're in the kitchen, kids are asleep, Sharna grabs you. 5-star dance move that you've learned.
We honestly, 5-star for me is slow dancing, is like all just like connecting and sort of swaying with each other. That to me now much more than when I was younger and like the Roger Rabbit or the Running Man. It's just like a nice waltz together, you know?
Just make sure that pool table's not in the way.
Yeah,
so
no,
you go up
pool
there.
table's been gone for probably 30 years.
All right, good. Everyone go follow Brian at Brian Austin Green on Instagram. Listen to the Oldish podcast. It's really amazing. Talk about real life stuff that everyone can relate to. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming on with the One Star Recruits.
Thank
today.
you guys so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Tempe 85283. We're going to Chuck Box. Maybe it's a special occasion and it's a pre-prom night. We're going to Monty's Steakhouse. I'm done pitching my show, Rip. Thank you, Brian. Awesome for you to do the 1-star recruits. Mostly sports, Rip. And as soon as he hopped on, I think I said something about the Dodgers, to which he replied, I'm not a sports fan. So we had a plan. We had to deviate a little bit, and it ended up being an unbelievable interview. So much fun. Not a sports guy, though, huh? Didn't expect that. I thought we were going to get a lot of Dodgers talk, to be honest with you.
Not a sports guy, but wears an LA Dodgers hat almost every day. I think the same day we interviewed him, the news of the Shohei Ohtani gambling thing with his interpreter dropped. So even if you're not a sports fan, you hear about that. We were watching the news last night. It was like the lead story.
Yeah, big spring training news going into opening day. The Shohei Ohtani betting scandal. It's taken over a little bit. Rip, go ahead. Explain it to my mom what happened with Shohei and his interpreter, EP.
So Shohei Ohtani is the best player in baseball in the entire world. He's Japanese. He came over to the United States to play for the Angels about 4 years ago. Just signed a $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers this past offseason, which I believe is the most lucrative contract in the history of sports, possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong, DK. But he's had an interpreter because he mainly speaks Japanese, very little English. He's had an interpreter by his side the entire time he's been in the United States, which also happens to be his best friend. Out of nowhere last week, it comes out that his interpreter has been gambling behind his back with some of Shohei's money to the tune of $4.5 million in debt to a bookie in California. And he says that Shohei paid off the bookie and all this. And Shohei now comes out and says that his interpreter's lying. They immediately fired the interpreter, again, Shohei's best friend, and they're really trying to distance themselves from it, saying he knew nothing about it because players, athletes, gambling in sports is very illegal, and not only in sports, but I believe it's a federal crime. So right now there's a lot to be learned, a lot that's unknown, but Shohei is trying to distance himself from this interpreter, and a lot of people think there's more to the story. So that's basically it.
There's more to the story. Clearly, there's more to the story. And I said this on a couple of podcasts right when it happened before. This guy is so good at baseball, it doesn't matter. He could have done this and had, a couple other scandals. This guy can handle 6 or 7 scandals at the level of how good he is. A great example is after his press conference on Monday, which he threw EP under the bus. Immediately, the guy hasn't thrown a baseball in 6, 7 months. Guess what he did immediately after that press conference? He's out in Chavez Ravine throwing the ball. They know what they're doing here. Move it along. Happened to drop the same day that P. Diddy is running from the law, like OJ Simpson here. Story gets buried. One Star Recruits have it here on Wednesday because we're One Star. Of course, we're going to have it on Wednesday after it's a done story. But there's probably more. The bigger story to me is not that athletes gamble, and that's problematic when they gamble on their own sport. It's the biggest problem for me when they gamble on their own sport. That can't happen. Period. Cannot happen. However, what do they say? The fish is out of the bag. What's the saying?
The cat's out of the bag.
The cat's out of the bag. And we've seen this in the NBA. Michael Porter's bro up in Toronto. Looks like he's the number one prop bet all over town for less than 3 shots up or something crazy. These prop bets are allowing, Rip, all kinds of interesting ways for the system to be finagled. You're seeing it in college sports. It's showing its ugly face, and it's kind of the moral of the story is betting has to get so the betting thing is in the wild west phases, and it has to start to get to corralled a little bit more. When the best in your sport are doing this, it's a bigger story, and it always has been. Michael Jordan loved to gamble. He was known for his gambling almost in some circles as much as his basketball. The levels of elitism gambling this guy would do. Golf holes for $140,000 and so forth. Phil Mickelson just dropped a book, known gambler. It's very tough when these guys are the number one because they have the leverage in these situations, and they should do the right things. We want them to do the right things. So nobody fully knows. I don't fully know. I think EP took a fall. He's probably going to head back to Japan and just live a nice life with whatever hush money, but he's done. Shohei's going to continue on like nothing happened. The bigger problem is some structure has to be put around the gambling. You know, Rip, because it's even when you said crime, I don't know if it's a crime. I think the only punishment that they have is they can kick you out of the game. They did that with Pete Rose. I think that's it. That's only recourse, and you're not going to do that to your best player. So that seems silly. So who knows? So there's lots of things that are up in the air with the whole betting system, the whole NIL system as it sits. There's lots of issues that are coming to light a little bit more. I think after this tournament, this year in basketball and this year in football, with Nick Saban gone, kind of the last guy that's kind of the old regime of head coaches, it's going to have to be addressed. And I don't know if it's a government thing. I don't know if it's a state thing. I don't know if it's an individual league thing, but it's problematic, bro.
It's problematic, and it's only going to get worse with all the professional leagues having deals with all the biggest gaming and casino companies. It's so common nowadays that it's basically infiltrated sports. It's available anywhere. Shout out to our guys, Trash Talk Boys, who have a sponsorship deal with BetUS, code Trash Talk 20 as a side note if you want to open up an account and do some gambling yourself. But players should not be doing it, obviously. And the crazy thing is these guys like Shohei and Phil Mickelson are so incredibly rich that they can't be doing it for money. It really is an addiction. It's an addiction. I mean, gambling is an addiction. It's something that gets the endorphins going and it gets them on a high or whatever. But either way, it is a problem, and it's only going to get worse, DK. Speaking of that tournament, that NCAA tournament, is your bracket busted?
No, I picked Arizona, so it's not busted. My others were silly a little bit. I thought Washington State had some more legs. Obviously, that was a joke. The main thing about bracketing is you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And as long as you have 2 of the 4 teams in the Final Four, you're still going to be alive a little bit in your bracket. So not busted, but it's pretty bruised, kicked in the nuts, got a wedgie. I'm sitting in 3rd place in my little bracket I hopped into. I'm such an adult now. It's like a fantasy football. Instead of doing 14 fantasy football leagues now, I'm doing one. I'm doing one bracket too. Not busted, still alive. Your antelopes. Last week you came in here, we're talking about Grand Canyon State, how you love them. They're your Cinderella team. Great story. I threw a little fire back at you. It's the one institution outside of ITT Tech, University of Phoenix, that I don't fully believe in the Arizona system. You know, some red flags. Someone will say that it's a bit of a fake university. I threw that out last week, and you seem to want to ride on it. And then, of course, go ahead. What happens? What happens in the tournament?
Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I picked Grand Canyon to get out of the first round and upset St. Mary's, which they did. It was a 12-5 matchup. I didn't pick them to go any further just for my credibility here, but we did, speaking of our argument about whether it's a real institution or not, there are some viral TikToks going around saying it's a joke and, they're a publicly traded for-profit company, which is all true. But we got an anonymous email. We'll just call the gentleman A Funk from Arizona, from Texas, actually. Don't want to give away his identity, but former employee of Grand Canyon University basically gave validity to some of your claims that it's a joke and they pay
Mm.
fans to travel and this and that. So kudos to you. This guy was in the system. He was part of Grand Canyon University for many years.
We
And
got the air clean. The air is cleared out from an insider. What's the name, Rip? What are we calling him?
we're calling him A-Funk. We don't want to, give away his identity to the feds or anything like that.
All right, go ahead. Hey, thank you, listeners, for hitting the DMs, by the way. Hit the DMs. Information could get brought up on the pod. You never know. Appreciate you, brother. Go ahead, though. Break it down. If I'm right, I love this. I love being right.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said the school, while he was employed there, paid for him and a couple colleagues to go on an overnight trip to Vegas and cheer on the team. So
That's what I said.
100% confirmed right there. And he said it's kind of a joke. They try to enroll as many people in their online degree programs as possible and push for sales profit above all else, which makes sense for a for-profit publicly traded company. But he said, as an employee, he was basically treated like shit, as more of a number than a person. And so, yeah, big thumbs down to Grand Canyon, one-star institution. They do have a good basketball
Wow.
team. I'll tell you that
Well,
much.
it's not even good basketball, Rip. And you could in college, you can do that. They have one guy who's good enough to maybe play at the next level. And what you watched, especially in the tournament, especially in the games in the second round games, is it was AAU. There's not even running plays. They're just going one on one and letting it was AAU basketball that they run, and that makes sense from a place like this. And I like Coach Drew. He's probably a fine guy. He's probably would be a fine guy to hang out with. He has like history teacher vibes to him. And I think he thinks this is a stepping stone. And it is. When you get a team to march to the tournament and you can even win a game, you can get there. You get one guy into the pros, you can even get there. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this guy getting involved into the Pac-12 in the near future here.
There is no more Pac-12. Breaking news. There is no more Pac-12.
Yeah, bad sports takes. I can see him getting into a good West Coast job after this because that's the name of the game. But yuck, get him out. Just not good, not healthy for our sport that's already kind of in trouble. Coaches are running away because they don't want to play the recruiting game, which is now just the money game, which then becomes an agent game, which just gets convoluted into what the hell are we really doing? Who is pro? Who isn't? Is this a system? Is this a feeder? Is this a minor league? Is this a business? Got a market cap of $4 billion for the antelopes of Grand Canyon. I used to drive by that campus. Rip used to work at a call center down there.
Yeah, right across the street from I believe a Filiberto's and a Long John Silver. So do you think they're closer to being the next Gonzaga or the next Florida Gulf Coast?
And being the next Florida Gulf Coast is okay. I think they're less than even that. I think they're in the ITT Tech realm that had a little burst because they have one guy who
They
could
made
be
the
going to the
tournament
pros.
3 out of the last 5 years. Don't compare them to ITT
I think
Tech.
they're playing deaf schools from Taos, New Mexico, Rip. They're not even playing real teams. It's a joke.
That's an insult to the New Mexico states and Boise states of the world. Come on.
We'll see how they regroup next year. And it goes back to the gambling conversation. It goes back into the money situation. This shows maybe you don't need history, tradition, education, whatever the foundational things of these systems were before. Maybe it's just all about getting paid. Guess what, bro? There's 419 people in the NBA, men in the NBA. Not a lot of people are going professional to get paid. So get your money now. I think you'll see more of these is the problem. I think these are going to start springing up, these for-profit centers where they bring in a good basketball team in particular. You only need 15 guys on a basketball team. Rip, you could probably finance a basketball team like this. Find two guys, one who's a pro, you're set. You're off to the races. Maybe not.
One way to do it, DK, if you want to try to finance some of it, you can go in your Charles Schwab account right now and buy some stock. The ticker is LOPE, LOPE. It's at $133 a share if you want to be part of this problem.
And the diploma business, the diploma bill business, it's a great business. Get it in, get it pumping. We're living in a very interesting time. I'm happy to be in here. I'm happy people are getting paid too. Don't get me wrong. Very happy people are getting paid. Very happy things are growing. More exposure to human beings and to some of the best Americana sports fare that exists in the world. We're getting pretty close, and I don't have the answers. I don't know if you do, to just needed to put some restrictions on the changes that are happening in regards to what is what anymore, how much money is okay, where is it? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon. Maybe let everybody just do steroids, let everybody get huge, and for my entertainment, let's go crazy. Maybe that's just it, and I'm being too much of a curmudgeon. I just want to really enjoy the next phase of sports at the college level in particular. I'm sure the gambling situation and the pros will work itself out. College in particular, some sort of caps, regulations, something need to be put in place pretty soon before this whole system just blows up. The transfer portal has already caused immense problems for coaches to stick around. Kids don't care about anything except for money anymore. More money, more problems. No Diddy.
Good transition into one star moments of the week right there. Mo money, mo problems. I got I usually give very specific one star moments, DK. This week it's a bunch of them all kind of put together. And it's just my diet has been trash over the past week. It's been this morning, for example, not even this morning. It's 2 o'clock here in California right now. All I've had put in my body this morning is a glass of water, Lee's iced coffee mixed with water concentrate, and also a bowl of Special K cereal. That's all I've eaten, and it's 2 o'clock. And
Trash.
it's really bad, and it's been happening every day pretty much. I don't find time to cook for myself in the morning, and next thing you know, it's after lunch, and I haven't really eaten. Maybe a peanut butter and jelly. Actually, almond butter, as you know, peanut butter would kill me. Almond butter and jelly, but yeah, I really don't eat my first meal until dinner time, so it's a real problem. One star moment of the week's been happening every day. I need to turn it around and do better on my diet, DK. That's my one star moment of the week.
What are you going to do?
I guess I'm gonna have to take 15 minutes out of every morning and cook an egg sandwich or a smoothie or something.
You don't even listen. You don't even listen. We do this whole show. We have this friendship. We text chains, couple text chains. I gave you the key to success last week in my recommendation of the week. No remembrance, nothing. Blackout.
Frozen pizza?
God, what trash I am if that's what comes to your mind. They were frozen, but the frozen frittata, egg whites, and spinach bites.
How long do they take to cook?
18 minutes. 450.
So
70 calories. 7 grams of protein for each one. You can microwave them too.
I don't know if I have that kind of time.
Microwaving them is 60 seconds. You have that. They're just not as delicious. If you cook them, they give a little crispy bottom and top. Start your day off right, though. And some juice. Fresh juice, Rip. You're successful enough now. You have a very successful podcast, 500level.com, password podcast, to get some juice, fresh pressed juice at your house. And I've been talking about it too. Who am I talking to, Rip, if you're not taking my advice here?
You make it sound like I'm some retiree that has 3 or 4 hours to kill in the morning and walk down to my juice bar and make a nice breakfast. That I'm a working man. I have a podcast on the side. I got 2 kids I got to drop off at school. I can't eat till 1 o'clock, DK.
I can't believe you hit that Special K. You put sugar in that or no?
Hell no, there's enough sugar in it. Special K now has like basically as much sugar as like a Fruity Pebbles or a Lucky Charms.
They got us.
Doubled
They
the
tricked
sugar
us.
content. It used to be healthy. Now it's trash. I'm putting it in my body. My stomach's making all kinds of crazy noises throughout the day. I gotta make a change.
That's a condensed milk, bro. It's condensed milk from that iced coffee Vietnamese style, Rip. I love it that you're still addicted to that. It's been 3 years now. They've probably got you for about $340 over the last 2 years. A bomb
340 days off my life at this point.
340 dumps too.
Yeah,
so, everybody wins. One star moment for me was just too much tournament. I'm usually a tournament guy. I think that it's great. You had a hot take. I'll let you save it for Sporty Boys unless you want to bring it up again. But I actually feel a little bit the same. There's a couple good games and there was a couple upsets. but mostly they were blowouts and they were expected winners for the most part. And I committed. Actually led to a little bit of a not a fight, but a disagreement with my wife and understanding what's happening here again. With it's like football season has started again. I have to reestablish myself and my flow, how I want to do the tournament. I want to be able to flow in and flow out when things are happening that are interest to me. And guess what? This day and age, I can do that on my phone. I can do that in other places. I can see, oh shit, this game's down to 2 possessions. Let me pop it up real fast and watch the end of it. Overcommitment to the tournament without a place to go to, a neighborhood watering hole, a trip to Vegas. Brian Austin Green doesn't mess with anything for the tournament, but I like to. I think it's just a phenomenal year to get together with your homies and eat some food. And that's the way to do the tournament. I did it the wrong way. I was focusing on the basketball. Like I'm some basketball guru picker, just pushing everything in my soul for Washington State to find a way, or for Utah State to find a way against the big #1 seed. It's not happening. So, like always, North Carolina, Gonzaga, Arizona,
UConn.
Marquette, Duke. We got the same squads. All I got to say is go San Diego State. Get yourself a fish taco. It's my new team I'm going with. San Diego State Aztecs. But that's my one-star moment. You want to share your hot take? You need to save it for Sporty Boys.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's to me the tournament, like kind of just echoing your thought. It's a little boring when there aren't many upsets. I mean, the biggest upset was Oakland beating Kentucky, which was huge. But then you want to see that Cinderella continue to carry it on and carry it. I put some money down on Oakland in the second round in our Bet US account, and they just went out and lost a close game. But so there's really no Cinderella left, as far as I know. In the tournament, that's my hot take. The tournament's kind of boring without. I don't even know if it's a hot take. It's kind of true without a Cinderella.
I was making fun of some of the gals in our group chat about their Final Fours because it was, the same teams that you would expect to be there. But guess what? We're getting down to it.
I was pulling hard. I had Vermont. I had Vermont in my Final Four, and that's why you'll see me in last place in all the bracket challenges. But yeah, it's boring without a Cinderella. Could you imagine the movie Cinderella without Cinderella? I mean, it wouldn't even be a movie. It's boring.
Vermont, rip, it's boring. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Okay, that's what happens around here. 1-star recommendations of the week. I'm gonna go back to TV because I just found this one and I love it. It's controversial in my house because my wife Kimmy does not enjoy it as much. There's a guy named Dave Chang. He's a chef. Momofuku is the name of his restaurant, and he has a bunch of spices and stuff all over the place. And he does all kinds of TV shows. You've seen him around. Dave Chang, he's great. He's got a podcast. He does a live show on Netflix on Tuesday nights, which is, I think he's doing brand new content that hasn't really been done before in the cooking realm as much as we see kind of some of the competition shows, which is really quick, or you see a lot of the over edited shows, which, everything is perfectly done. They bring out things. It takes a full day to cook a single dish. Doing cooking shows this way, he started this thing called Dinner Time Live with Dave Chang. It's completely live. He brings 2 people in and he cooks them a full 6 to 8 course meal, different themes every week, live and direct, no editing, no nothing. And guess what, bro? It's fucking great. If you love to cook, he's fucking up dishes. He's burning his hand. He's dropping things. You're watching him try to conversate with his friends and then clearly like in the weeds of it's normal. It's the most normal cooking that I've seen. And I think it's very entertaining, and it makes me want to cook a little bit. He takes a couple culinary risks on this show for doing live things. Definitely things where it's like, damn, I could look very foolish if this fucks up. And guess what? Sometimes it does fuck up, and he rolls with it. So interesting, different one. I know you don't have any time, bro. You got all your stuff going on. Time. If you're chilling, dinner time. You say it 3 times, people remember it. No sponsor. Dinner Time Live with Dave Chang, though. Netflix. Check it out.
Have you ever tried to cook along with what he's doing? You pause it, go buy the ingredients, and cook along. See what happens.
No, because it's too. Once you watch it, it's too much. It is too chaotic because this is real. This is like This is not a cook along YouTube follow around, and this will be easy. He's cooking hard things and real life, and this is more like if you set up shop and you were gonna cook. You said, you know what, I'm gonna make you guys 4 different Italian dishes. And then we sat in your kitchen and you tried to make us 4 Italian dishes. Imagine how fucking stressed you would be.
That's why I have a box of Special K on tap as a plan B right there.
So Dave Chang's trying to do it, dude. He's trying to really throw it down, and it's just so he's sweating. You're watching sweat drip. He's watching his shit. It's true fat guy television and true cook television. And I think he's doing something new. I don't know if this has been done before. I don't know, but I haven't seen it in the cooking realm before, and I like it.
Well, that's part of the reason, DK. I know you're super into the chef shows and Dave Chang, and we got a special guest chef coming on next month on One Star. So just a teaser for that. But I'm gonna dumb it down for you when it comes to recipes real quick with my recommendation of the week, and it's something I've been eating for years. Are you a tuna fish guy, DK? It's like black licorice. You love it or hate it. Are you a tuna fish guy or not?
Nope, full hate. Unless I do like a good tuna melt, which is weird. I am a zero chance not eating it cold, not eating it. But if you put it to me on some nice toasted sourdough bread with the nice piece of cheese on it, mixed with the mayo and the stuff that they do, fucking love it. So that's weird, but no.
That's fair. Tuna melts are delicious. I am a tuna fish guy. This is very simple. If you have 10 minutes for dinner, you're not going to like this because you're not a complete tuna fish guy. But if you only have 10 minutes, rice and tuna, a can of tuna, cook some rice up in 10 minutes, melt some butter in it and put hot sauce on it, mix it all together. It's tons of protein. It'll fill you up with the rice. It's a good 10-minute meal. I've been doing it for 20 years off and on. That's my recommendation of the week. You're probably going to tell me that's why I have stomach problems, but that's actually a pretty healthy meal.
It just sounds like you're living in socialism in Stalingrad in 1947.
That's why I said it's in a pinch. It's when you have 10 minutes, man.
Is this life? This is life. This is why your body's letting down on you, Rip. We need to get some nutrients in your soul, some squash or something. Like
DoorDash me some vegetables immediately.
Sweet Lord, man. Rip's reactions, hit the music. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce went on a date in Los Angeles and then flew to the Bahamas for a little beach weekend. In complete honesty, Rip, please name a realistic date night that would be followed by a weekend trip with your wife that could realistically happen. And we know all the things, bro. You have no time. You're eating tuna. You're eating Special K. What is something that is a realistic date night that transfers into a weekend with just your wife?
Realistically, I don't know if I mentioned it, DK, but I'm going to France in less than 60 days. So it has to take 10 years of planning, basically. That's my reality at this point.
Come on. Give us a real one. You tell me you couldn't go to Popeyes and then just spring out to Downey for a weekend and stay at a Courtyard?
I mean, what am I going to do with the kids? You can't leave the kids at home by themselves. It takes a lot of planning, man. It takes family flying in. We don't have family here, so it's happening once every 10 years at this point. That's my reality, man.
Give me a date spot then.
How about Sushi Ryokan on PCH in Seal Beach? Best sushi in Seal Beach. I've been there a few times. I haven't had sushi in a while. I don't know if that's good for my stomach or not, but that's a day spot right there if you're in
Winston's disapproving. He's shaking at me. He doesn't even think that's good sushi at Long Beach. He thinks there's better spots. Well, interesting. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire actually did pretty good at the box office. I ask you this every movie. It's every new movie that I think could tie to you and doing stuff with your children that we might have did. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. Are you taking your kids?
Zero chance. I guarantee if I look on Common Sense Media, which is a parenting tool for movies, it's going to say it's not appropriate for kids under 10. My kids are 5 and 7, DK. If you throw some Elemental or another Disney movie at me, I'll give you a thumbs up, but zero chance of Ghostbusters.
We grew up going to inappropriate movies. It made us who we are. West Virginia hired Drake head coach Darian DeVries. His son was his best player at Drake. College coach, who's the father, and the son is the star player. Is this cringe?
It's not. I was actually just watching Creighton in the tournament, who's still alive in the Sweet 16, and their coach is still Greg McDermott, who's Doug McDermott's father. Doug's been in the NBA for 10 years now. Greg's still coaching there. There was a guy at Georgia Southern, I think RJ Hunter's dad, who I don't know if he's still the coach there, but sometimes it works, man, and hopefully for West Virginia, this will be one of those times.
Big nepotism, not cringe. How about the pro level? That's got to be cringe, like when Doc Rivers drafted his son. That was not cool.
Hey, I'd say no, but Austin Rivers had a heck of a career, and the most recent one was the Knicks hiring Rick Brunson as an assistant coach, and they got Jalen, who's probably one of the most improved players in the NBA. So it's working.
Well, that was a hack too. They say, let's bring him in as a sixth assistant coach. That's going to give us the leverage to get his kid over there. Very smart, very good bet over there with the Knicks. Shout out to Dante DiVincenzo, dropped 40 points. Possible one-star guest coming up here pretty soon. Stay tuned. Zach Edey and Purdue are not messing around, Rip. But scouts are saying at his very best, at the next level, at his very best, you're looking at Boban. What comp do you see Zach Edey being?
I saw that tweet too, and I laughed at it big time. I hate to say it, but I think that's it, man. The guy can barely move in the NBA. He's gonna be stuck. Maybe a little better than Boban. Maybe the best you could hope for is this is going back 30 years, but former one-star George Murasan. He can move a little better than him, but he can't play more than 15 minutes a night in the NBA.
I don't think so either. I think they're down in the Midwest region too. Gonzaga's going to get them. Keep your eyes on Arizona Wildcats. We will be back next week. One-star recruits. We'll see you then. Appreciate you.
Back to the Midwest next week.